Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chad with Living the Van Life up here in Washington. It's October, nearly November. The leaves are falling off the trees rapidly. The wind's been blowing. That means it's winter time. It means cold weather's coming. Lots of rain, possibly snow. Anyhow, cold weather. And that means lots of hanging out and seeking shelter inside the van. It's actually some of my most favorite time of the year to be living the van life. Something about having this thing provide shelter during crazy weather and stuff. It makes it fun. But there's several things that I've done to prepare my van for living the van life in cold weather. And I figured I'd make a video about that, one that's encompassing all the stuff that I do. If you go back through several of my other videos, I do have videos about surviving in the cold. But I just wanted to do one that kind of encompassed everything that I do. So here's my video. I'm going to take you through all the stuff that I've got going here. I hope you enjoy it. Alright guys, one of the key components to remaining comfortable while living in a van during wintertime is heat. This particular heater that I selected for my application is a mystery heater. The model is a Big Buddy heater. It's an 18,000 BTU propane-fired heater. The reason I selected this particular heater wasn't necessarily because I needed so many BTUs, but this one will actually accept 2 of the propane bottles, which gives you twice the amount of running time on the low setting, which is important. If you're going to be in your van any length of time and need to rely on bottles only, it's nice to have that 2-bottle setup. And then also, if you are in extreme cold weather, you can always crank this thing up to high and really be comfortable. The other nice thing about this particular heater is it has a quick connect setup, and which I have plumbed this heater into my onboard propane on my Volkswagen Westfalia. On my 91 Volkswagen Westfalia, I've got a propane tank that sits underneath the van. And what I have done is I've tapped into this propane line. It's kind of dark right now, but I've tapped into this propane line and wired or plumbed in the propane hose, which you can see the remainder. This is all my excess propane line that's coiled up here. And then I also cut a hole in my cabinet, and I just got one of those desk grommets. Usually you see it in a desk at your office. This little thing just pops out. That allows my quick connect fitting to go right in there. That dresses it up nicely so I don't have just a big gaping hole there. And then I run this propane line over to here, and in here I've got the quick setup, or I'm sorry, the quick connect setup, which is right here, and that feeds my heater the right amount of propane that I need to be able to run this thing. It starts up nice and easy. Got the pilot light lit there, and then I can just crank it over to the low setting, and you'll see it'll light up here. And now we are producing heat. So this thing is super convenient for living in the van during the cold weather months. It also has an electric fan switch that flips on right here, and it circulates air out of these vents right here, which is pretty nice. I don't have that hooked up right now. You can run that off of some D-cell batteries, or you can actually plug it into the wall with the adapter that it comes with it. Now guys, one of the most important parts of having a heater, especially one that's fired off of propane, is to remember to have plenty of ventilation. The number one concern that people have when they hear me talking about this particular heater is the fact of having enough ventilation in my van. I always, anytime I'm running this heater, I make sure that I have plenty of fresh air circulation coming into the van. That means cracking a window. I've also got a skylight that I can crack, but it's always having the right amount of ventilation. Number 2 is whenever possible, I do not sleep with the heater on during the night. I simply start up the heater during the right before I get ready for bed, and then in the morning getting up, getting ready to go to work or start my day or whatever, I start it up at that point. So that's one key note. A lot of people are always concerned about me sleeping with this thing over the night. A few times that I have slept with it on overnight, we were in some 20-degree weather and I had the top popped up on my Westfalia here, which means the upper half is only sheltered by canvas, which means there's a lot of heat coming out. We were in like low 20-degree Fahrenheit weather, and at that point I turned the heater on and ran that all through the night. Through the canvas with the windows cracked a little bit, we had plenty of circulation. Other than that, when it's just me in here by myself with the lid closed, my sleeping bag keeps me plenty warm. Okay, and during the winter months I always keep handy and very close by, I keep my sweatpants handy just under my seat here. This is where I usually store all my clothes. And a nice pair of sweatpants, I keep those close by for winter sleeping. Coupled together with my sweatpants, I always like to use a hooded sweatshirt to go along with that for the upper body comfort. And keep in mind that this is during extreme conditions where it's in the 20s. That's when I use the hooded sweatshirt. Otherwise, I just usually go with the sweatpants down below and a t-shirt. And then the other key component to staying warm is the stocking cap. So I keep a stocking cap right by the cabinet here close to bed, in which I can access very easily as I'm getting into bed. So as far as clothing staying warm, sweatpants, sweatshirt, stocking cap. One of the key factors in remaining comfortable in your van during the winter months is having a good night's sleep, and that involves your bedding. A lot of people want to pile on the blankets. 3 or 4 or sometimes 5 blankets I've seen people have in their motorhome or their van or whatever it is that they're living in on the go. That's all great if it keeps you warm, but the other thing you got to think of when you're living in such a confined space is the amount of space that your bedding takes up. One way that I've gone with getting around that and keeping my bedding confined is I go with the Cabelas down sleeping bag. The line of sleeping bag that I went with is the XPG, which means it's the extreme performance gear. This particular sleeping bag is rated down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, you know, pretty decent. Usually in Washington we're pretty mild. We'll get down into the 20s and sometimes down into the teens, but very rarely. But this particular sleeping bag is extremely comfortable. It is down, so it's got great loft. And the important thing about the loft of a sleeping bag is the amount of room that the feathers have to expand. It develops kind of an airspace in between there in those feathers, and the body heat from your body comes up through and heats that space, and that airspace between the 2 layers of sleeping bag helps keep the cold weather out. The great thing about this sleeping bag is I use this thing year-round. You might think right off the bat that if it's rated down to 15 degrees and keeping you warm and comfortable, that at 60 or 70 degrees in the summertime that it might be really, really uncomfortable. The nice thing about down is it keeps you warm in the wintertime, and it actually helps keep you cool in the summertime. I use this sleeping bag year-round. The nice thing is it packs right down into this draw sack here, and usually this is the way I keep it right here. You can get it even smaller if you suck in these straps here. You can really compress it down and get it tight. But yeah, this thing I just throw it right in the back, and that's my bedding. I keep a couple pillows, and other than that, I'm good to go. Okay guys, I'm just going to pull the bed out and give you a demonstration of how I go ahead and make my bed in the wintertime. And like I said, this keeps me nice and warm. In the Westfalias, the couch seat folds down very easily. And then I have also went to Costco and I bought the memory foam mattress topper. And I trimmed the edges off so that it fits perfectly in my Westfalia bed here. And we pull that out. And there I've got a nice comfortable sleeping area. And then I take that sleeping bag and it just folds out just like an accordion. And I like to a few minutes before bed, kind of get it shaken out, let the feathers kind of expand, because that area where the feathers are is what really provides you the insulation, just like so. And like I said, I don't sleep with it zipped up into a sleeping bag. I just sleep with it similar to a comforter, just like that. Home sweet home. There's bed right there, ready to go. You can see how those feathers are really expanding, and that creates the insulation for you. When it comes to being comfortable while living in your van during the winter months, every degree counts. And as you can see behind me, I've taken all of the curtains that I've got around the van and I've closed those all up. Every little bit of insulation helps. What that does is that helps develop a barrier between the cold between the cold glass, because the glass will conduct the cold air very easily. And so the curtains help develop a little bit of a barrier between that. And like I said, every degree counts. Having the curtains up in here will probably help, 3 or 4 degrees. Your body heat alone just generating will definitely help that out. So that's another way that you can go about helping out your situation in the cold weather. You can see here all around me, I've taken all the curtains and closed them up. I even put the front curtain across behind the front seats. So having a nice sleeping bag, having a nice heater, that's all great when it comes to being comfortable while living in a van in the winter months. But you also have to be prepared. In areas around the country where extreme weather can hit at any time, you always want to be prepared for whatever can come your way. One other thing I've done to do that, I've taken several steps, and that is to always carry tire chains with me. These things are made to fit specifically the size tire that I have on my van. And I don't care if it's wintertime or summertime, I always carry tire chains with me, because whether it's getting stuck in the mud or the snow, tire chains can get you out of many situations. So I always keep those in the rocket box up top. A hatchet, I always like to have a hatchet in the rocket box up top. That's my my storage that I have on the roof rack. Hatchet, you never know when you need to split some firewood to build a warm fire if you're completely stranded. Part of living in the van is having cool little storage compartments, and the hatchet I definitely carry with me. One of the recent additions that I've got, thanks to my dad, got me that as a birthday present after I got stuck in the snow over in eastern Washington, was a small shovel. And this small shovel tucks nicely under this seat here in the back, so I keep that in there with my clothes. The other important part of being prepared for winter is having good tires. Having tires that are a bit of an all-terrain tire are good. You don't necessarily have to go with extreme off-road tires or anything like that, where I guess if you're doing a lot of that, hey, more power to you. These tires are great on the highway as well as off-road. I did get them siped by Les Schwab. You can kind of see the siping here. That's where they slice into the tread, and that helps add traction on snow and ice. And so I run these tires on all 4 corners of the van, and having good tires is another key thing to being prepared in the snow. You never want to be stranded somewhere, wake up in the morning and realize that you can't get out of wherever you're at. So between good tires, snow chains, a hatchet, and a shovel, and all your warm necessities, you should have yourself pretty covered. Alright guys, well I hope this video has helped you and inspired you to go and make sure that your van or your RV or your vehicle that you're living in is all up to snuff and ready for the wintertime. These things that I have shared with you today in this video are all things that I've learned in the last 3 years of living in my van. This stuff, slowly adds up. You start with a heater, you start with a good sleeping bag, and as you work through these real life situations, you realize stuff that would make your life more comfortable. And that's where you will add to my list and make it even better. But I at least wanted to share with you what I've learned so far while living in my 1991 Volkswagen Westfalia. Here I am, been doing it for 3 years, and I'm always learning stuff. I'm always looking to expand my list of stuff to be prepared with and to be comfortable through cold winter months with. So anyways, I hope everybody's doing good out there. I really enjoy making these videos. Peace out. Keep on trucking.